Hey everyone, how are all of those hiring heroes doing today? I'm Jen Teague, and I want to present one of my sessions in my Secrets to Successful Staffing series. I just finished this part up and really just felt compelled to share this with you and just share the information that I put together, because I really think that this is important and really good stuff that will help you. Now, who am I? Well, I'm Jen Teague, and I came from a world of recruiting. I recruited everything from part-time retail employees for Black Friday all the way up through VPs of companies. I've pretty much recruited for all of it except for like the healthcare industry and IT, those more specialized fields. Those you usually have to have a lot more experience in. But I have a lot of experience with working with small companies as well, small businesses. I actually came from a small business background. So I get that you probably don't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on having your own HR or recruiting department. So you're probably it, right? You're probably the one doing the hiring yourself as a business owner. So I created Secrets to Successful Staffing because of a few reasons. One, because I just love small businesses, and I truly believe that small businesses are the backbone of our great country, our great nation, America. I also believe, too, that we as small business owners do not need to take second best just because we don't have the funds available just yet, right? So just because we're not gazillionaires or we don't have a public company or whatever, we're not 7,000 strong, doesn't mean that we can't get great employees too. So, just because we don't have all those tools and resources just yet does not mean that we need to settle for second best. So Secrets to Successful Staffing is a video-based program that I've put together that helps small and growing businesses create and implement their own hiring practices. So instead of you having to guess or to go on your search engine and hope that you can find some good information and not as much conflicting information as you're going to find, you're going to be able to put everything all together through this package. It's all going to be consistent messaging, consistent information, and it's tried and true. So there's no fads, there's no quick fixes or anything like that. This is what I have used time and time again, and what I've also learned through mistakes. So you're getting the best of both worlds. And so this is part of that series. This is helping you in your preparation for recruiting and kind of helping you decide how you want to recruit, deciding on how you're going to go out and find great candidates that are going to become those great employees eventually. So I want to go ahead and get started with a quick disclaimer, okay? So just keep calm, and I'm not a lawyer, all right? So there's me if you're interested in knowing who I am. Again, I'm Jen Teague. So I am not a lawyer, all right? So before I even talk about all this, I don't want you to think, oh, good, she's a lawyer. She knows what she's doing. I can call her with whatever legal issue I have. No, I can't because I'm not a lawyer, okay? The general information that I give you here is just to be used as you see fit, all right? So you have your business, right? You know what's best for it, what's going to work well. Or if you don't, you're going to experiment. But in the end, you're the one that makes the decisions, okay? Trust me, you do not want me defending you in a lawsuit if something were to happen like that, okay? And you were to say, oh, but Jen, is this lawyer. No, she's not. So I'd probably have to start watching something like Law and Order and learn law that way. And you don't want that because, first of all, I don't like Law and Order, but also because you want an actual professional to help you, right? So, why would you want to put this baby together and then just have it destroyed because of misinterpretation or something? So if you have specific questions for your industry, for your company, or just about your company in general, always consult an attorney. And always, when in doubt, follow federal and state regulations. All right, so that was all the unfun stuff that I had to get over. So now we're going to dive deep into what we're actually here for. We're going to talk about different options for recruiting and how you're going to recruit, right? So there's a lot more options available than you really think there are, but we're going to go over 3 of the most popular ones. First of all, to save you some time, because if we went through every single way of doing this, it would take forever. But more importantly, so that you know what's available to you, so that you can decide whichever one works best for you. So the first one we're going to talk about is the staffing agency. Okay, now this is where my recruiting obsession began, and where it came from, right? So staffing agencies are really, really near and dear to my heart because this is where I got my start in the first place. My dad actually had an employment agency where I would work after school, and I learned a lot about recruiting there. After my classes, I would, or on days whenever I wasn't actually in class during college, I'd go into the office and call and schedule interviews and review resumes and take client orders and interview. I mean, basically, you name it, I was doing it. If someone didn't show up for an assignment and I happened to be available that day, guess who was going to go? You know, I'd show up in like jeans and a T-shirt one day to, clean the office, and then within 30 minutes I'd be in a suit and I'd be working all day at one of our client sites. So I wanted to know everything I could about it. So I got as involved as I could. As much as I could learn, I did. So a staffing agency works like this. So they're going to find clients, and their clients are both you as a small business owner as well as applicants. But they make their money from you, the business owner, by placing their applicants. So they're usually called placement specialists, and it's a sales type position where you'll call, or where they'll call and see if you have any staffing needs, or maybe you call in and say that you have a staffing need. But either way, somehow they get a hold of you, and you should only be paying when they place someone. It's really rare, and I've never heard of it actually, so it's very rare that they would ever ask you for money up front, because if you decide to use a staffing agency, you're actually going to pay a placement agency to recruit, narrow down the applicants, and send you the best of the best in their pool of candidates, okay? So you actually don't pay until they provide the service. So think of this as someone that is that's really invested in finding you the candidate you want, because they're usually paid only based on successful placements, all right? So it's kind of like having your own recruiter, right? Staffing agencies do most of the work for you, and it's like a no-obligation hiring process. If you're looking for a full-time employee, you can hire them through the agency on a trial basis, which could be anything from like 30 to 60 or 90 days, depending on whatever it says in the contract that you sign. But what they do is they send you people, you interview them, and then you decide which candidate you want to consider. Then the employee will work in your company for the employment agency the specific amount of time. So if you hire Jane from ABC Staffing Agency, then she's actually helping you with the work that you have, but her paycheck, her income, and her her taxes, all that stuff is being taken care of through ABC Staffing Agency. You're just paying one flat fee, either per hour or, however that, again, whatever is stated in your contract. So I just wanted to let you all know that. So if you decide that during that time, maybe, you didn't like Jane that much or something like that, or you want to go in a different direction, or that person didn't really work out, you can call the agency and they're going to send someone else out for you. So because you're not technically the employer, because the employment agency is, then you're not responsible for any of their taxes or any extra expenses like workers' comp or unemployment, that kind of thing. You simply pay that employment agency, who is the employer, and they take care of all of that. So you're probably wondering, well, how can you go wrong with this plan? This sounds like a primo kind of deal, right? Like, this sounds like a really good idea. Well, there are some downfalls to using a staffing agency. First of all, they can be costly. So they'll either charge you a marked up rate per hour fee or a percentage on the yearly salary for the placement. Okay, so for example, if you're offering $10 an hour for a position that you're looking to fill, then the agency is going to work on finding someone for you, but they're going to charge you $15 an hour to do that. Not based on their hours, but based on the fact that the person got placed and however many hours that person works. So if it's 40 hours, it's going to be $15 times 40, even though that employee is only getting paid 10. Or it's a percentage of salary, and that can be thousands of dollars depending on how much that salary is in the position. So another problem with staffing agencies is that you don't have control over their candidate pool, right? They are looking for the best of the best in what they have, but what is their best isn't your best. Hopefully that made sense, but if they don't have exactly what you're looking for, then you've just wasted a lot of time and a lot of money on not finding the right person or the people for the job that you're looking to place. And the final thing I'll say about staffing agencies or employment agencies is that they can only search for what you tell them. And this I cannot emphasize enough. If you don't know what you'd like, but you know you need someone, they will ask you enough questions to look for qualified applicants based off of what you tell them. If you're not specific enough within legal limits, of course, they will not be able to send you who you want. So, if you're looking for specific things, characteristics, personality traits, that kind of thing, you need to tell them that. You need to be as specific as possible within legal limits, all right? If you're looking for someone who can type 46 words a minute, not 45, you need to tell them that. You need to be as specific as possible because in the end, it really does lie on you. Even though you're not paying all the taxes and all that, you need to be able to tell them specifically what you want, all right? Now, we actually have something through Secrets to Successful Staffing, through another video in this series called the 15-minute job description. So if you're interested in finding out exactly what you'd like, knowing exactly who you want to fill that position, I would suggest you purchase that series, and we'll talk about how you can do that here at the end. But both of these kind of situations, any of these situations, can be really frustrating. The cost or the just non-communication or miscommunication can be really frustrating. So those are some of the things that you want to look out for when you're talking about employment agencies. All right, so let's see. Now we're on to staffing software, all right? So what the heck is that? Like, that's kind of a lot. A human resources information software, or an HRIS. Okay, that's a huge acronym, right? So what is it? Well, it's a software or an HRIS if you want to sound real fancy, and it helps you integrate your social media and your hiring process into one system. So instead of having to remember where you posted the job that you're looking to hire for and signing in and checking for responses in multiple sites and multiple areas and keeping track of all that, an HRIS can put everything into one place, all right? So there are a lot of different programs out there, so you can probably find one that would suit your needs. It's kind of like a one-stop shop for recruiting because after you have it all set up, you just log into one place, and that's where you can find all your information. Plus, it can be used for housing employment records as well. So it's not just for recruiting. It can also be used for your employment documents. If you wanted, you could probably find a good one that takes you through all the HR-related processes. But right now, we're just really mainly focusing on that recruiting part. But with an HRIS, you have more control over what candidates you find than when you go through an employment agency because they're going to be your own pool of applicants. If you find that you're not getting the results you want, you can always change your posting, where you're posting it, and get the different results that you're looking for. And it's really easy through an HRIS to find applicants through keyword searches. That'll help you save a lot of time when you're sifting through all those resumes. So this one sounds too good to be true as well, right? I mean, come on, let's say, one program that's awesome, like everything in one place. Well, it isn't. because there are some things that you need to know and to consider if you're going to invest in a staffing software, okay? So notice I said invest because no matter how simple you make it, an HRIS is very costly. If you don't do a lot of recruiting, you're probably not going to get as much out of it as someone that posts numerous positions within a quarter or a month or something like that. Also, the more personalized you make it, the more costly it can become. So if you want it to be all things HR, right? So if you want it to do every single step of your HR process, you're going to have to be ready to pay for that. Another issue is that you can overcomplicate the system and make it really useless from the start. So you have to have long-term goals with it and have a lot of meetings with the software company to make sure that you're getting out of it what you need. So without a good process, without a good plan in place, you could just be wasting a lot of time and money. So that can be another issue with an HRIS, but it could be great for your company as well, okay? Now, I've been talking a lot and talking about a lot of information. So before I leave you, I want to take a quick puppy break. All right, this is what I call a puppy break. Sometimes you just got to divert your eye. This is Bella, and she's a great example of passive recruiting. So we're still learning. So we're just looking at dogs. So Bella showed up on our garage one day a few years back, and no one claimed her, so she became our little princess. She's actually what we call a Catahoula, which I'd never heard of until someone mentioned it to me a while back, and became our second four-legged baby. And her little expressions are just priceless. So if you get the Secrets to Successful Staffing series, you will see a lot of her and a lot of our other baby buddies. So anyway, so that's just our quick puppy break. All right. So now we're going to head back to business. We are going to talk about the third and final way to recruit, which is in-house recruiting. We just got done talking about the good, bad, and ugly about staffing agencies and softwares, right? But now let's dive into why you should and shouldn't consider in-house recruiting. Now, keep in mind while we're talking about this, I'm talking to business owners that decide to become the recruiter, not to create a recruiting department. Okay, bigger businesses usually have great processes in place, so I'm not trying to change that, but I'm reaching out to the small business owners that are wearing multiple hats, that are literally saying, okay, I can't afford a recruiter, and I can't afford a whole department, and I can't afford a consultant, but I can afford to look for somebody on my own, okay? So an in-house recruiting process is probably the one that most of you are going to be familiar with, because it means that you're doing all of the recruiting. You're creating the job postings. You're putting them online. You're screening applicants. You're interviewing. You get the picture, right? You're doing all of this. And this is a great option for all of us control freak types. We have total control of the process from start to finish, and then we get to complain about how busy we are later on. Now, I know I can't be the only one alone in that one, right? Please agree with me on that, okay? We love our control, but then we complain about it. So we just do that. I don't know why, but we do. But, one of the great things about an in-house recruiting strategy is that you can change the process as you see as much as you want, because you're not committed to keep things the way that they are. It's also the most cost-effective way to recruit on paper, because you're only spending money to post jobs on job boards or in advertisements, that kind of thing. So now, of course, the downfall. The problem is that it doesn't take into account missed opportunities, time spent on reviewing resumes and interviewing. So, we only see the cost savings of having the posting online, but that doesn't take into account all those other things, right? It takes up a lot more time and energy. It ends up usually taking a lot longer because you're the only one doing the process. And another factor to think about with in-house recruiting is motivation. Exactly how motivated are you to fill the position? You may not see the immediate need for someone now, so you may take a little longer than you should, and that can become real ugly real fast. Without the right amount of motivation, you're going to put it off as long as someone or as long as you can, right? you're going to make sure it's last on your list because you've got other things to do. With too much motivation in hiring, and there is such a thing, believe it or not, all of your efforts are going to be focused on recruiting. So what does that mean? If you're not in the recruiting business, then that's really bad because you're ignoring your clients, you're ignoring your future clients, you're ignoring your product, your service, and all you're doing is focusing on recruiting, and that's not a good mixture either, okay? So that's kind of the downfalls and the positives of going through an employment agency, using an HRIS, and also doing in-house recruiting. All right. Now, how exactly are you going to recruit these great candidates, right? Like we've figured out, okay, well, so we want to recruit this way, but now how are you going to go out and get them? All right. So, how do you think you're going to find them? How will you reach your audience? These are really, really important questions to ask because you're not only if you're not in the right place, you're missing out, okay? So you have to be in the right place at the right time, so the saying goes, okay? So we're going to start out talking about social media, all right? And social media, no shocker, has not only revolutionized the way that we communicate with each other, but it, of course, it's also changed recruiting. So let's look at some statistics I found on a site called careerarc.com, all right? The use of social media for recruitment has grown 54% in the past 5 years. 54%, that's over half, right? A recent SHRM, that's a human resources site, study found that 84% of organizations are now recruiting on social media. 84%. Only 56 of those companies were hiring on social media in 2011. So, I mean, we're almost talking about what? That's like a third, right, of growth. That's huge. 79% of job seekers use social media in their job search. All right, so, I mean, that's big too. 28% of job seekers use a smartphone for their job search. And then 82% of respondents reported leveraging social media to recruit managers. So we're not just talking part-time retail jobs, if that's not what you're looking for. We're also talking about management as well. So it's a big deal, right? If you're not on Facebook or have a website, then you're missing out on really, really great candidates. Who would have thought just a few years ago that someone would be applying for their job on a phone? I mean, seriously, like they're realistically, it's that they're applying when they're waiting at a doctor's office, they're in line at a grocery store, getting their oil changed, right? I mean, there's so many times an applicant can be reached online nowadays that you have to be out there to get the talent that you want. So how exactly do you use use social media to recruit? Well, I'm glad you asked because that's why you're here. So there's a lot of different ways, but we're going to cover some of the more common ones just to save some time. So the best way or the most convenient way to do it is just to put the job posting on all your social media sites. You can promote the post or create an ad that way. You can just go in and say, hey, all, we're looking for such and such person with these kind of qualities. Holler at us if you know of anybody. And if you're doing a more proactive approach to recruiting, maybe you don't need the person right now, but you want to kind of get some traction, kind of see what's out there, post some behind the scenes pictures. People want to know about the culture of a company before they even think of applying, so make it attractive. Make them want to work for you. That way, when you do have an opening, you'll have an interest from your followers. I actually call this wannabe recruitment because people want to be part of the company. So make sure that you do your culture posts so you get your wannabe recruitment taken care of. Good use of hashtags. Make sure that you're using them. This will put you in front of people online, but I do need to give you a word of the wise. Use them properly. Don't just go for the most popular ones if it doesn't make any sense. So here's my point. One time I posted something actually really positive with hashtag I hate my job. It was to promote one of my services, help job seekers, and it ended up getting picked up by someone that felt really bad for me. She responded with really encouraging, kind words, and I just really felt horrible for the miscommunication. It was just so awful. I felt so bad, right? I explained to her, I replied, I was like, hey, you know what? This is a hashtag fail. Gave her a little smiley face at the end and just moved on. So, and I never heard back from her ever again. So it kind of embarrassed both of us, but it really embarrassed me because I misused the hashtag. So the moral of the story is use caution when using hashtags. Use them properly and in their right context, okay? Now, last tip that we're going to talk about, again, to save time, there's a lot of other ways you can do this, but to save time, we're just going to talk about the last one, which is using LinkedIn. Now, this is like a database of resumes just waiting for you to look through. It's amazing how many great people are on LinkedIn. And I'm not sure if it's needed, but I may be putting together a separate video for using LinkedIn for recruiting. So if you're interested, I'd like to know. Reach out at info@genteague.com and let me know, because I'll put one together if I get enough interest. But right now, I'm just going to cover the basics because that's what this whole session and series is about. So with LinkedIn, you can find candidates that are actively looking or offer better opportunities to people that are currently employed. You can also create a business page where others can comment on the business to get more attention from other candidates. LinkedIn is great because you have the ability to reach out to people based on your criteria. It's a great tool that's really underutilized, so I would suggest that you use it a lot and go out and search for those applicants. I mean, they're all literally waiting right there for you. And even if they are employed, you don't have to make it like you're trying to steal them away from something. Just offer. Just say, hey, are you interested in looking at other opportunities? If not, it's a flattery for them because you reached out to them out of everyone on LinkedIn. But if they are, then you just may have found your next great employee. So don't ever be afraid to ask people. All right, so using job boards. If you decide not to go the social media route, or maybe you want another way to put your job posting in front of more applicants, then you can use a job board. And job boards are equivalent to the want ads in newspapers way forever ago. So which one you decide on for a job board is based on what you're looking for. Now, some of the more popular ones as of right now are Indeed, Career Builder, Simply Hired, and all those other ones, but understand that they are very oversaturated. They're really popular for a great reason because they get results, right? But there are other job boards you may want to consider that aren't as popular, and here are some. For example, college job boards are usually overlooked because they just aren't thought of, right? People are looking at the bigger ones. And it's really a great way to get some good candidates. Most colleges and secondary schools have job boards and usually can post, or you can sign up and post for free. And the reason is because they're looking for employers to place their graduates with. So you're kind of helping each other out whenever you're posting to college boards. If you're looking for someone more experienced, you may want to consider an industry-specific board. For example, if you're looking for someone in the insurance industry, you could place a job posting on the association board, and then you can find your qualified applicants there. So, maybe you're not sure at this point what you're looking for. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to genteague.com and get the 15-minute job description, right? Okay, that's inside of the Secrets to Successful Staffing package. You are, the more specific you are, the more that you know what you want, then the more specific and good candidates you're going to receive. So I do suggest watching the 15-minute job description video inside the Secrets to Successful Staffing package. So that'll help you a lot with these job boards. So in conclusion, with the job boards, though, that was kind of a side note, but in conclusion, the main point here is that there are tons of job boards, and there are even more coming in the future. Each one has their own specialty, their own unique way to capture applicants and their own unique features. So research which one or which ones work best for you. All right. So another great way to find a good applicant or applicants is through networking and job fairs. Now, not everyone's a big fan of these because they require going into uncomfortable situations and meeting new people and literally going in their face and telling them who you are, right? But I really believe these are still great ways to find applicants. I put them together in this session as networking and job fairs because they're kind of the same thing, just different approaches. Networking is kind of a vague term, so most people think of it as just a group of people just getting together, whereas a job fair is a huge affair with a ton of people coming at you, right? But both of them do have one thing in common. Their only purpose is to put you in close contact with others for a common purpose. So that's why they're both together. These are really great if you like meeting new people and do well in chaotic situations because job fairs can go nuts, right? Like they can be crazy. If you've ever been to one in any capacity, they are insane, but they're so much fun. I remember one that we did through the employment agency where we were looking for candidates. It was in this huge event hall open to the public, and it was like 3 hours long, 3 hours long. We ended up getting over 500 resumes that day in just a few hours. So what we couldn't have done over a month, we did in just a few hours. I mean, we met a lot of great people, and it really helped us build our applicant pool. But now remember, we were in the business of placing people in a job, so this was a really great idea. If you're a mom and pop shop that's just looking for one person, then maybe you don't want to spend the time or the energy going to a job fair. If you think you may want to do a job fair, then let me suggest that just a few things here, that you definitely take 2 different folders. You're going to have one for candidates that you're interested in contacting after the job fair, and then one that you need to say that you're moving on from or that you're not interested in. And those ones, the ones that you're not interested in, are going to receive the, hey, it was great to meet you, but you're just not really a fit for our company or what we were looking for right now, emails when you get back to the office, okay? The other ones, however, those ones that you're interested in may get phone calls and interviews, but having those 2 folders are going to help you out a lot because you don't want to write too much on a resume. Even though it's not a legal document, okay, it can't really hold up in court. Did you know that you can actually be sued? All right, this is not joking. This is not like funny. I'm not trying to say that this is cute or anything, but did you know that you can actually get sued for something in court that you put on a resume? It's true. So if you put the resumes in the separate folders, you avoid making notes like putting stars on them and not on others, and also it keeps you from putting too many notes on them, okay, because you're already in a chaotic situation. So that's a free tip. The more you write on a resume, the more that's actually going to look bad on you if you ever get pulled into court, and that's part of the documentation. It becomes legal evidence whenever it goes into court, so if it gets subpoenaed. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Still not an attorney, but just letting you know. All right, so that's a free tip just because I love you that much. All right. So anyway, that is it for the job fairs. Now, if we move on to networking, actually I love going to networking events. You get to meet a lot of people in a lot of different businesses in a short amount of time, and there's a really good chance you're going to be able to get to promote your business there. So if you get to go to networking events for candidates, find out who you need to contact. When you're at a networking event, look for people in the employment industry, or even the people in your industry. Now, there's no harm in creating a relationship where you and maybe even your competitor refer candidates to each other. There may be times when you're hiring, but the competitor isn't. So maybe the competitor has a great candidate, but not really a good culture fit. and wants to let you know about him or her. So in the end, what is networking? It's all about helping others, right? So be as useful and helpful as possible so that others want to help you too. So those are a few ways that you can use networking and job fairs for recruiting, right? Now, the only problem with networking and recruiting, if you're an introvert like me, it can be really overwhelming to think about those things and to be at a job fair. But once you're at a job fair or a networking event, they can be a lot of fun. These events have a lot to do with attitude. What you expect to get out of them is what you're going to get out of them. If you just go and sit in a corner and just not talk to anyone, you're going to be wasting time. But if you go and mingle, you get into conversations, speak out those standing by themselves, and you'll get a lot from it. Just be prepared to look like this after that event because it's exhausting, but it's also rewarding as well. Got to throw in the cap somewhere, right, guys? All right, so who better, last thing that we're going to talk about here for ways to recruit, who better to hire than someone from the inside, right? If you already have rock star employees, which if you are blessed enough to have them, you can almost guarantee that they know other rock stars. There's a saying, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And this is exactly what referrals are. Maybe one of your employees knows someone in their sphere that would be a great fit for the company, but really had no reason to mention him or her before. So, never underestimate the power of people and who they know. This is a really effective, inexpensive way to get top-notch talent. And it's also good because you don't have to sell candidates on a company because there's a good chance that your employee has already done that, and they've done a really great job of it as well. All right, so that is it for recruiting. Now your mission is to figure out how you want to recruit now. Do you want to go through the employment agency? Do you want to go through have a staffing an HRIS? Do you want to do in-house recruiting? All right, how do you want to get the word out there? Do you want to use social media, job boards, networking and job fairs, or referrals? That's where you come in. That's where you need to decide all this, all right? Now, if you're interested, if you like this session, I do encourage you to sign up for Secrets to Successful Staffing. It is a series, it's a whole video series. It's a lot like this, where we go over a lot of information in a short amount of time. And it's really affordable. It's almost like having a recruiter in your pocket, all right? You get all my knowledge, all my information. I really don't hold anything back. So I'm giving you all that information. I'm giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly, all right? So I want you to go over to genteague.com and sign up for whichever Secrets to Successful Staffing series or package that you want, all right? There's a couple different options for different budget levels. I totally understand that you're a small business, that you can't just afford to buy everything that you want, all right? So I put it together so that there's a free package, which is very limited. There's a different package that's less than $100. And then there's one that costs a couple $100, and there's one where it's one-on-one. If you've got a little bit more to spend, then I can be your personal staffing and recruiting, or staffing and onboarding coach. So I do encourage y'all to check it out. I also have a blog over there at genteague.com. Y'all, I really appreciate your time. And if you ever have any questions, you can reach me here at genteague.com, or you can email me directly at info@genteague.com as well. And I hope that this has helped you out and that you can find the information that you've been looking for. And if you need more, come find me over at genteague.com with Secrets to Successful Staffing. I will see y'all later, and go out and be a hiring hero.